The Walt Disney Company appears to be donating to Republican candidates again. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. Not another Park Place, That Park Place. I'm also here with Mr. VashSky. Vash, how you doing today, man?
Doing very well, thank you. Just getting off of my political consulting work right here, and sure enough, it looks like Disney's up to their old tricks again. What do you know?
Yep. And we say tricks. It's just funny. They're going back to their old system here. Let's talk about this tweet over here from Mr. Scott Maxwell, who's over there on X. Maybe you could go check out what he's talking about there. And now it's official that Disney is back to donating to Republicans as well, including those who voted for the very don't say gay / parental rights bill that allegedly offended the company's sensibility. This one to Representative Josie Tomkow's PC. I'm going to say that's probably political committee here. This Florida Farmers and Ranchers United from May 30th of 2024, not that long ago, right there, May 21st, 16,423 Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, Lake Buena Vista, Florida, 32,830. An in-kind contribution. So it seems like they are now doing donations to Republican candidates. Fascinating. We did an article not that long ago. We did a video, I should say, talking about the Orlando Sentinel piece where Disney was doing an in-kind contribution over to a Democrat candidate, and they were allowing that particular Democratic candidate use Tiana and the Tiana's Bayou Adventure ride that is coming up soon, and a dinner at the park in order to elicit campaign donations. The question that we had was, will Disney do the same for Republican candidates? I don't know if they'll do Green Party. I don't know if they'll do Tea Party, whatever the equivalents are for the other ones. Maybe the Silver Foxes, as I often like to joke and bring them up again. Vash, the other article was a big deal. Is this an even bigger deal?
I would say yes, because as we said in that video covering the prior story right there, remember why they stopped political campaigns at all. It wasn't because the Florida deal was in motion and all that, or I should say cftod, rcid. It was before that. It was actually, look, we are taking a righteous stance against this bill, and we will not be contributing to political campaigns of any kind until this thing is fully repealed and this thing is fully out of the Florida framework right here. But now, color me unbelievably shocked that Disney went back on their words and said, you know what, we're going to be starting up political campaign donations, including the people who actually voted for that bill. Wow, well, I can't believe it, Jonas.
Well, yeah, there's two things to bring up there. The first one is that Disney used to always donate to both sides of the aisle. That was just something that they did. They wanted to say in everyone's political good graces. It's one of the reasons that the Reedy Creek Improvement District existed for as long as it did. By the way, 1967, Reedy Creek passed. There was some legal pushback in which a judge said, well, they're building this Epcot thing, which is obviously an actual city. So as long as they're doing that, this is fine. They didn't sunset it properly. But anyways, 1968 rolls around and there's a new Florida state constitution that would make those kind of agreements. You couldn't do any more of them at that point. But that one survived. It was grandfathered in. Of course, this created a situation in which all of a sudden the Disney company was not as favorable as they once were. The Florida state legislature apparently wanted to get rid of this thing for a very long time, and they lacked the political will to do it. The other thing...
Not just Republicans either. Democrats also wanted to get rid of that at various points in that juncture.
Right, because they had an unbelievable amount of not political power, governmental power in the state of Florida, including the right to build a nuclear, I jokingly say a nuclear airport. By the way, in the Legal Mindsets comic, if you want to go look, there's an Easter egg referencing my nuclear airport over there in it. They had the right, they did build a small airport there at some point. They also had the ability to build a nuclear reactor. The pushback that I've gotten is, well, they never did build a nuclear reactor. Yeah. Okay, sure. They also had the power of eminent domain. A private corporation had the power of eminent domain. I bring this up every single time because I want to emphasize that if a foreign power within their rights bought stock in the Walt Disney Company, you would be giving a foreign power the right to seize property in the state of Florida with impunity under Florida state law, that they could seize people's property outside of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Again, emphasizing that it was property that was not held by any form of the Walt Disney Company, whether it was through Reedy Creek. Also, maybe there were some shady things going on in there in Reedy Creek in order to make it sure it was under one political roof. The other thing that needs to be brought up here is that in order for this to pass, in order for the Parental Rights and Education Bill to be passed, it had to pass with a majority of support of the legislature of the state of Florida. If it is an indictment, which I don't believe that it is, it's the will of the people of the state of Florida. But that being said, Disney has the rights to donate to whoever they want from a political standpoint, just as sunshine laws in the state of Florida say that they have to report it and everybody else gets to hear about it. Vash, would you like to add anything here before we read Scott Maxwell's other tweet?
I might have come off in a certain way right there. It's only because Disney has been doing this for a long time, as you perfectly note there, Jonas. They have been doing this for years in order to maintain the unbelievable powers of the RCID, and they came up several times in the Florida legislature as problematic, as things that maybe should be addressed at some point. I know that there was a nearby community who said that they were going to push for maybe having some of those special privileges revoked because they weren't giving their fair share of taxes, hotel taxes, and so forth. So this had come up a lot. Obviously, there are people in the general vicinity and even proprietors and businesses and so forth who were like, hey, look, I mean, maybe we're giving a little bit too much deference to Disney in this instance, and we're campaigning for this for quite some time. So there wasn't any political will to change anything because everybody was making money off of this. When Disney said, no, we're going to combat you openly, and we are going to use all of our resources in order to upend the Florida legislature and what they want and the will of the voters, well, then something needed to be done. And it was. And sure enough, they're back to their same old games, despite the fact that this bill is still on the books.
You're absolutely right. For those of you who are not understanding, this is Disney getting back to business as usual, which business as usual was good around 2018 and 2019. That's when the company was firing on all cylinders. This means that they would be quite literally quieting the noise on both sides of the aisle. This take from Scott Maxwell: Disney is back in Florida's political donations game. This is no surprise. Donations are basically legalized bribery, and Disney has been one of Florida's biggest bribers, with politicians from both parties eager to cash checks and do Disney favors. I don't know if that is necessarily a fair representation of the whole thing, but I wouldn't say it's totally inaccurate. This is Disney getting back to being a bipartisan company, and this is something that so many large corporations do. So with a heavy semi-libertarian heart here, I say it's probably good that Disney is back to donating to both sides. I doubt it'll be equal. And of course, the employees of the Walt Disney Company, they can do what they want and donate on whatever level they want to do. Vash, before we wrap this up, is there anything you'd like to say?
You know, Disney, they often criticize Republicans in the tweets, but it looks like they are donating to Republicans in the spreadsheets. There you go.
We want to throw this to our commenters. They're probably sick of the equivocating and saying that people should be allowed to donate to whoever they want to donate here, and want to tell me even that I'm wrong in this situation. Of course, my guess is they're going to give more money to the Democrats than the Republicans, but whatever. Like this video if you want to know more, because it helps us to know that you want to see this kind of content. And of course, consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.